August 12th, 1940, 10:15 a.m. High above the churning gray waters of the English Channel, off the jagged cliffs of North Foreland, Kent, the roar of the Merlin engine thunders in your ears, vibrating through the thin aluminum skin of the Supermarine Spitfire. 20-year-old flying officer Brendan "Paddy" Finucane grips the control stick, his gloved hands steady, despite the knot twisting in his gut. Salt spray mists the canopy from below, and the sun glints off the waves like shattered glass. He's on his first combat patrol with No. 65 Squadron, barely a month out of training, and the Battle of Britain is raging like a wildfire across the skies. You can almost feel the chill seeping through the cockpit, the leather seat creaking as Paddy scans the horizon. His Irish eyes, sharp and unyielding, dart from cloud to cloud. Below, the English coastline hugs the sea, a fragile barrier against the Nazi storm brewing across the water. Radar has picked up bogies, German raiders probing for weaknesses. Paddy's squadron, a tight formation of Spitfires, wheels in the blue expanse, wings tipping like knives ready to slice. Then there they are, a swarm of black crosses against the sky, Messerschmitt Bf 109s, sleek, deadly hunters of the Luftwaffe. 12 of them flying in disciplined Vics, their yellow noses snarling like wolves on the prowl. Paddy's heart slams against his ribs. He's heard the stories. These are the elite, pilots from Jagdgeschwader 51, hardened killers who've already tasted British blood over France. His radio crackles with urgent calls. Tally-ho! Bandits at 2 o'clock high! But in that split second, something primal takes over. The formation breaks, Spitfires peeling away to engage. But Paddy spots a gap. The Germans are turning, exposing their bellies for a heartbeat. He doesn't hesitate. Throttle forward, nose down, he dives alone into the fray. The wind howls as his Spitfire screams toward the enemy pack, closing the distance at over 300 miles per hour. The 109s scatter like startled birds, but one lags, a fatal mistake. Paddy lines up the gun sight, the 8 Browning machine guns hungry in his wings. From 250 yards, he squeezes the trigger. Tracers arc out, stitching the sky. He closes to 50 yards, insanely close, the enemy's propeller a blur in his vision, and unleashes hell. The Bf 109 shudders, smoke belching from its engine. It flips, wing over wing, plunging into the channel below with a white plume of spray. Sergeant Orchard, Paddy's wingman, sees it all and confirms the kill later. But the Germans, they're stunned. Who is this madman, this lone Spitfire pilot, charging a dozen of their best like a Celtic warrior from ancient tales? Alarms blare in their cockpits. They wheel to counterattack, cannons flashing. Paddy banks hard, G-forces pinning him to his seat. Bullets whip past his canopy, one grazing the fuselage with a metallic screech. His Spitfire dances, agile and unforgiving, but the odds are suicidal. 12 against 1. How does he survive this? Back at RAF Hornchurch that evening, the mess hall buzzes with disbelief. Paddy, his flight suit still damp with sweat, downs a pint with steady hands. But inside, the fire is lit. This is just the beginning. The Luftwaffe has met its match in an Irish lad from Dublin, and the skies over Britain will never be the same. Yet, as the sun sets on that fateful day, Paddy knows the real battle is far from over. The next dawn brings more raiders and a brush with death that nearly ends it all.
The date is August 13, 1940. Dawn breaks cold and clear over RAF Hornchurch. Paddy Finucane wakes to the familiar ache in his shoulders from yesterday's fight, the metallic taste of adrenaline still lingering on his tongue. His Spitfire, LZN, bears fresh scars, puckered bullet holes patched overnight by the ground crew. He runs a hand along the fuselage, tracing the shamrock emblem he's had painted there, a quiet nod to his Dublin roots amid the roar of English engines. The squadron scrambles again. Luftwaffe bombers are massing over Calais, escorted by swarms of Bf-109s. Paddy straps in, the cockpit canopy sliding shut with a solid thunk. The Merlin coughs to life, then settles into its throaty growl. He taxis out, wheels thumping over the grass, then lifts off into the pale sky. The formation climbs steadily, 10,000 feet, 15,000, 20,000. Oxygen masks clamped tight, voices clipped over the RT. "Bandits, 11 o'clock, Angels, 2-5. The call comes sharp. Paddy's eyes lock on the distant specks. Another dozen 109s high and fast, diving to bounce the Spitfires. But this time, the Germans are aggressive, pressing hard. Paddy breaks left, climbing to meet them head-on. Tracers flash past his wingtip. He jinks, rolls inverted, pulls through. The world spins, blue sea, white clouds, black crosses. He latches on to one 109, closing from astern. The German pilot twists violently, but Paddy anticipates, cuts inside the turn. From 300 yards he fires, a short, disciplined burst. The 109's wing root erupts in flame. The pilot bails out, parachute blooming white against the morning sky. One down. But the sky is chaos now. Another 109 swings in behind Paddy, cannon shells hammering his tail. The Spitfire shudders, controls going sloppy. Smoke trails from the engine cowling. Paddy dives, using the superior speed to streak away toward the coast, the pursuing German firing wildly. Bullets stitch across his starboard wing. The aileron jams. He fights the stick, muscles burning, willing the battered fighter to respond. At 5,000 feet, the engine coughs once, twice, then seizes. Silence replaces the roar. The propeller windmills uselessly. Paddy glances at the altimeter, too low to bail cleanly. He spots a narrow strip of beach near Deal, waves crashing white. He glides in, flaps down, undercarriage up for a belly landing. The Spitfire hits sand with a grinding crunch, slewing sideways, tearing up turf and pebbles. It stops hard against a dune. Paddy kicks the canopy open, rolls out, heart hammering. No fire. He's alive. Ground crew from a nearby ACAC battery rush over, pulling him clear. Paddy stands there, flight suit torn, face blackened with oil, staring at the smoking wreck. Yesterday, he was the hunter. Today, he was prey. The Germans nearly had him, but something unbreakable stirs inside, the same fire that drove him through training crashes, through instructor doubts. He won't be finished this easily. Back at base that night, the adjutant confirms, one confirmed kill for the day. The squadron toasts him quietly. Paddy smiles, but his eyes are distant. The Luftwaffe is probing harder, losses mounting on both sides. He knows the next patrol could be his last. Yet fate has more in store. In the coming months, Paddy will transfer to No. 452 Squadron, an Australian unit hungry for action. There, under the Circus offensives over France, he will unleash a string of victories that stun even the hardened veterans. And one mission in particular will see him claim multiple kills in a single ferocious sweep, leaving German pilots whispering about the red-haired Irish devil in the Shamrock Spitfire. But survival demands more than skill. It demands luck, and the Germans are about to test both to their limit.
By early 1941, the Battle of Britain has faded into grim memory, but the war in the skies rages on. Paddy Finucane, now a battle-hardened flight lieutenant, transfers to No. 452 Squadron RAF, an all-Australian unit fresh from training, eager but green. Stationed first at Curtin and Lindsay, then Kenley, they fly the latest Spitfire Mark 5B, faster, more heavily armed, with clipped wings for tighter turns and a cannon punch that can shred metal in seconds. The Australians take to Paddy instantly. His quiet confidence, the faint Dublin lilt in his voice, the shamrock painted boldly under his cockpit. They dub him Spitfire Paddy, half in jest, half in awe. He becomes their flight commander, then leads the squadron. The Circus offensives begin. Daylight raids deep into France, Spitfires escorting bombers to draw out the Luftwaffe, baiting the 109s into dogfights over enemy territory. Paddy thrives. The sky becomes his domain. He teaches the Aussies Fizz rules. Never fight turning battles if you can help it. Use the Spitfire's climb and dive. Get in close, 50 yards, 30 yards. Make every burst count. His score climbs steadily. A Bf 110 twin-engine fighter over the Channel in May, 2 109s in June. By summer, he's an ace several times over. Then comes the frenzy of August and September 1941. Circus 73, August 16, Paddy leads a sweep near Lille. The wing tangles with a large formation of 109s. Paddy dives into the melee, guns blazing. He claims 3 in a single day, his 9th, 10th, and 11th victories. The Germans reel. Their pilots report a red-haired devil in a shamrock-marked Spitfire carving through their ranks like a scythe. But the pinnacle arrives weeks later, September 20, 1941. Another circus operation, escorting Blenheims over northern France. The Luftwaffe rises in force. Paddy, now leading the wing, spots a gaggle of 109s below. He calls the break, then dives alone into the thick of them. The Australians follow, but it's Paddy who tears into the enemy. From astern, he latches on to 109, closest to point blank. Tracers hammer home. The German rolls inverted, flames streaming, crashing near gravelines. Another swings to engage. Paddy anticipates, rolls with him, fires again. The second 109 spins down, trailing smoke. A third tries to escape in a climb. Paddy zooms up, guns chattering. It explodes mid-turn. In that single, furious sortie, he destroys 3 more Bf 109s, bringing his tally surging past 20. Over 2 consecutive days in late September, he claims 5 in total, a rampage that leaves German intelligence scrambling. Luftwaffe pilots begin to whisper about the Irish ace whose Spitfire seems untouchable. Back at Kenley, the squadron erupts. Beers flow in the mess. Paddy, ever modest, raises a glass but says little. His DFC gains 2 bars. The DSO follows. The press seizes the story. The young Irishman from Dublin, son of a revolutionary, downing Nazis by the handful. Morale soars across fighter command. Yet the victories come at a cost. Every mission deeper into France means longer odds, flak thicker, 109s more numerous, fuel margins razor thin. Paddy knows the statistics. Fighter pilots' luck runs out eventually. As winter 1941 sets in, he takes a brief respite after a blackout running accident sidelines him, but the fire doesn't dim. By spring 1942, promoted rapidly, he returns to lead bigger wings. His score nears 28 confirmed. The Germans are stunned, their best pilots falling to this one relentless man. But the war doesn't forgive legends forever. In June 1942, at just 21, Paddy becomes the youngest wing commander in RAF history, leading the Hornchurch wing. The next mission will test everything he's built. And on one fateful July day, over the French coast, the sky will claim its due.
June 1942. RAF Hornchurch. The grass runway shimmers under the summer sun as Wing Commander Brendan "Paddy" Finucane strides across the dispersal, his red hair catching the light like a beacon. At 21, he's the youngest wing commander in RAF history, promoted over men twice his age because no one else could match what he's done. The Hornchurch wing is his now. 3 Spitfire squadrons under his command, Spitfire Mk5Bs gleaming with fresh paint, cannons loaded, ready for the next ramrod or Circus deep into occupied France. The men watch him with something close to reverence. The Australians from 452 still call him boss. Stories circulate in the mess, how he once claimed 3 Bf 109s in a single blistering sortie on September 20th, 1941, tearing through a formation like it was tissue paper.
How on consecutive days that same month he destroyed 5 more 109s, pushing his score past 20 in a whirlwind of tracer and flame. The Germans know his name. Whispers in Jagdgeschwader ready rooms about the shamrock-marked Spitfire that appears from nowhere and leaves burning wrecks in its wake. But Paddy doesn't boast. He never paints kill markings on his fuselage. The shamrock alone is signature enough. He leads from the front, always. His tactics are simple, ruthless. Climb high, bounce hard, close to annihilation range, fire short bursts, disengage. No wasted ammo, no prolonged turns. Hit and vanish. July 15, 1942. The wing briefs for a ramrod, low-level strafing run on a German army camp at a top near the French coast. Ground attack, risky. Flak will be waiting, thick and accurate. Paddy stands before the map, voice calm, Irish accent soft but firm. We'll go in fast, low, strafe the huts and vehicles, then pull up sharp over the beach. No heroics. Get in, hit hard, get out. Engines roar to life. 12 Spitfires lift off, Paddy leading in his personalized UDW. They form up over the channel, skimming the wave tops to stay under radar. The French coast appears, a thin gray line. Paddy pushes the throttle forward. "This is it, chaps," he calls over the RT, the last words many will hear from him. They cross the beach at 50 feet, guns chattering, tracers arc toward army tents, trucks exploding in orange blooms. Paddy's Spitfire leads the charge, cannons hammering a staff car into scrap. But the Germans are ready. 20mm flak batteries open up, bright muzzle flashes from hidden positions. A shell slams into Paddy's starboard wing root, ripping through the radiator. Glycol sprays in a white cloud. The engine temperature spikes instantly. Smoke pours from the cowling. The Spitfire slews, losing power. Paddy fights the controls, trying to nurse it back toward the sea. "I've been hit," he transmits, voice steady. "Engine's gone. Heading for the drink." The wing wheels to cover him, but flak bursts everywhere. Paddy glides low over the surf, belly skimming waves. He tries to ditch gently, canopy jettisoned, seat lowered, but the crippled fighter hits the water hard. It flips, nosediving under in a welter of foam. His wingmen circle, searching the choppy channel. No parachute, no dinghy, no sign of the red-haired pilot who had stunned the Luftwaffe with his relentless score. 28 confirmed, perhaps more. The sea claims him at 21. Back at Hornchurch, silence falls over the ops room. The man who once downed multiple fighters in a single ferocious sorties, who turned the Circus offensives into his personal hunting ground, is gone. The Germans, if they knew, would have been stunned one last time, not by another victory, but by the quiet that followed the fall of their most relentless foe. Yet his legend endures. The youngest win leader, the Irish ace who defied odds and gravity until the very end. In the end, the sky took back what it had lent him. But the fire he lit in fighter command burned on, through D-Day, through the Reich, until victory.